This court is first going to, as indicated earlier, impose sentence with regards to Destiny Henderson. The court finds that a prison sentence is consistent with the purpose of Revised Code Section 2929.11. The court imposes a sentence at ORW of 10 to 15 years on the underlying offense of involuntary manslaughter, plus the 3 years on the 3-year firearm specification on count 5, again, involuntary manslaughter. Count 5, as indicated earlier by this court, is the qualifying offense. That is why count 5 has a minimum term and a maximum term. Moving on to count 10. The court imposes a prison sentence at ORW of 6 years on the underlying offense. Strike that. Moving back to count 5. The court imposes a prison sentence on the underlying offense of 10 to 15 years, plus the 3-year firearm specification that shall be served prior to and consecutive to the underlying offense of involuntary manslaughter, again, the 10 to 15. Moving on to count 10, kidnapping. The court imposes a prison sentence at ORW of 6 years on the underlying offense, plus the 3-year firearm specification, again, which must be served prior to and consecutive to the underlying sentence of 6 years. As to count 14, conspiracy, the court imposes a prison sentence at ORW of 4 years.
Okay, pause right here. Destiny wasn't just a bystander. Pointing a gun, participating in a kidnapping, and witnessing torture? This is the kind of multi-layered involvement that makes consecutive sentencing almost unavoidable. What would you do if you were in a courtroom listening to this testimony live? Drop your thoughts in the comments.
B. At least 2 of the multiple offenses were committed as part of 1 or more courses of conduct, and the harm caused by 2 or more or multiple offenses so committed was so great or unusual that no single prison term for any of the offenses committed as part of any of the course of conduct adequately reflects the seriousness of the offender's conduct. Specifically, the court finds, as it relates to Destiny, the involvement of Destiny, as indicated earlier, this court listened to the testimony throughout 3 trials. Destiny pointed a gun at Turquoise, participated in the kidnapping of Alicia, participated in the torture, and ultimately left Miss Pointer in an abandoned home amongst trash and debris. For this reason, the court finds that consecutive sentences are necessary pursuant to 2929.14 C4B. One moment, please. This will bring the total sentence after the consecutive sentences for a total minimum sentence of 25 to 30 years. Moving on to Mr. Pope. Mr. Polk entered a plea of guilty to involuntary manslaughter, count 5. The court finds that prison is consistent with the purpose of Revised Code Section 2929.11. The court imposes a prison sentence at LCI of 10 to 15 years plus 3-year firearm specification as to count 5, involuntary manslaughter. Again, this is the qualifying offense as a relates.
Wow. The court emphasizes just how tragic these events were And honestly, reading that, you can feel why multiple consecutive sentences are being handed down. This isn't just paperwork, it's a reflection of real harm and danger to the public. Could a single sentence ever truly reflect this level of severity? Think about it.
Consecutively to each of the underlying offenses, count 10 and count 5, and also must be served consecutively to each other. So the court imposes a sentence at LCI of 6 plus the 3 years for the firearm specification as to count 10, kidnapping. Count 15, conspiracy in violation of 2923.01A2, the court imposes a prison sentence at LCI of 2 years. The court again finds that consecutive service is necessary to protect the public from future crime or to punish the offender, and that consecutive sentences are not disproportionate to the seriousness of the offender's conduct and to the danger the offender possesses to the public. And the court finds, again, pursuant to the same code section 2929.14C4B, that at least 2 of the multiple offenses were committed as part of 1 or more courses of conduct, and the harm caused by 2 or more of the multiple offenses so committed was so great or unusual that no single prison term for any of the offenses committed as part of any of the courses of conduct adequately reflects the seriousness of the offender's conduct. I can't emphasize how tragic these facts were in listening to them, and this case started with the actions of Nathaniel Pope. And Nathaniel Pope is involved with the kidnapping of Turquoise of Miss Harris, which led to the kidnapping of Miss Pointer, who was tortured and brutalized for days and left in a basement amongst trash. For that reason, the court finds that consecutive sentences are appropriate in this matter. Counts 5, 10, and 15 shall run consecutive to each other. Moving on to Ms. Williams. The court finds that prison is consistent with the purpose of revised code section 2929.11. The court imposes a prison sentence at ORW, a life sentence without being eligible for parole until serving 20 years plus the 3-year firearm specification, for a total sentence of 23 years to life. As to count 10, which is the qualifying offense as it relates to Reagan Tokes, the court sentences the defendant to 6 to 9 years. As it relates to count 10, kidnapping. As it relates to count 13, the court sentences the defendant to 6 years. All counts to run concurrently. Strike that. Counts 10 and 13 shall run concurrently to count 1. All counts run concurrently, for a total sentence of 23 years to life. Just one moment, please. At this time, the court is going to advise the defendants of their appellate rights. This applies again to all 3 defendants. Do you understand that you have a right to an appeal in this matter within 30 days after the filing of the court's sentencing entry? Do you understand that, Ms. Henderson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Pope? Ms. Williams? Do all of you understand that if you are unable to pay for the cost of a transcript, the record, and all relevant documents, strike that. and all relevant documents required for an appeal. They will be provided to you without cost. Do you understand, Ms. Henderson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Pope? And Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Next, do you all understand that if you are unable to pay for an appeal, you are entitled to have a notice of appeal filed without the payment of a filing fee? Do you understand, Ms. Henderson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Pope? And Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Thank you. And lastly, do you all understand that if you are unable to obtain counsel for an appeal, counsel will be appointed to represent you at no cost? Do you understand, Ms. Henderson?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Pope?
Yes.
And Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Thank you. May I please see the attorneys that type up?